Welcome to the Modern Stock Car Cup Tour in race 11 out of 28 in our third season. We bring you the AT&T 400 here from the Deep South in Fort Worth, Texas, from Texas Motor Speedway. Of course, you're familiar with some of the several quad oval circuits that we have this year. We already had Atlanta, which had a great finish and a great battle between Chase Buck, Jacob Thibodeau, and Ronnie Martin, which eventually got Martin his first career Cup win. And of course, later on in the season, to close off the first half, we have the NASCAR Hall of Fame 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Of course, NASCAR knows it as the Coca-Cola 600 for the most I'd say grueling endurance race on an oval that you're really ever going to see. 400 laps of that thing, I can't even do 50 laps on that thing without spinning it out. Regardless, though, from Texas, there was a bit of a shakeup in qualifying because of some technical difficulties. Riley Wedge will no longer be starting on the pole. He will be starting in 7th, but however, like I said, due to the technical difficulties, Santiago Alvarez will be your pole sitter. To his outside will be Christian Coppola. 94 laps from Texas. I would honestly say expect an early crash in the first 10 laps or so, because these guys are going absolutely wickedly fast. They're sometimes hitting over 200 in the corners. Now, in practice, there was a dangerous crash between Brandon Allen, Christian Coppola, Darian Arnsdorf, and at least like 3 or 4 other cars, including one car getting upside down on the straightaway. So what the MSCCT officials did was they actually lowered the horsepower in everyone's engines so that it's a bit safer to race, since they were actually hitting 206 to 207 in the corners when they were in a pack and in full speed. So that's just something to keep in mind. They won't be going as fast as they usually would, at least at this track with this setup, because it's a little different. Last year, there was a day race, and they weren't even really hitting 185 in the corners, and for whatever reason, the setup this year was completely out of whack, and for that reason only, that's why we're in this situation. Last year's winner, though, Doug Doering, he will be starting 12th on the outside of row 6, so we'll see how he does from Texas Motor Speedway, but regardless, we got some racing to do down south in the land of cowboys. Let's take a look from the 65 of Creed Daniel as we get ready from the starting command of the AT&T 400. Let's take a look at our starting lineup. In row 1, we have Santiago Alvarez and Christian Coppola. Row 2, Creed Daniel and Ronnie Martin. Row 3, Dan Wilkins and Ryan Adema. Row 4, Chase Buck and Riley Wedge. Row 5, Jacob Thibodeau and Carlos Rex. Row 6, last year's winner here, Doug Doering and Armin Salvador. Row 7, Matthew Green and Chris Lattimore. Row 8, Brennan Wilmington and Patrick Starr. Row 9, Hunter Walker and Nelson Reeves. Row 10, we have Kyle Driscoll and JJU. Row 11, Sarah Fang and Nolo Hamilton. Row 12, Nate Rellum and Brandon Allen. Row 13, Gerald Altrip and Sam Joseph. Row 14, Logan Williams and Leland Hill. Row 15, Jackson Snyder and Adeline Galvin. Row 16, Alex Pollock and Donna Wilkins. Row 17, Luis Aguilar and Daniel Rivera. Row 17, Felipe Ford and Molly Fleming. Row 18, Callan Fleming and Charlotte Kelly. And then in the last 2 rows, we have Darian Arnsdorf, Jesse Owens Jr., and Caden Robitaille. Santiago Alvarez has been to Texas a lot. He actually used to live here for a little bit just a few years ago, but he's since moved down to Cordoba, Argentina. And of course, his other Argentinian competitor, Ronnie Martin, he starts behind him in 3rd. From down south in the land of Texas, we've got a green flag. 94 laps remaining. Already a slow start for the 85. He left the door wide open so much that the OO of Dan Wilkins was able to shoot down from the high lane to the low lane in turns 1 and 2. So not a good start for Riley Wedge, but I got to tell you, a great start for Ronnie Martin. He was able to take advantage of a slower outside lane, and he's now taking 2nd, gaining positions here as Santiago Alvarez leads the first lap. Running for his own team, Yoo-Hoo Motorsports, of course, sponsored by the chocolate milk manufacturer Yoo-Hoo. Everybody knows Yoo-Hoo. Everybody loves Yoo-Hoo. thing about this is that he used to be a Dan Wilkins racing car, and he won 2 races last year in that equipment. He won at Charlotte and he won at Dover. So he's good at these intermediates, especially the quad ovals. He did pretty good at Atlanta this year along with Atlanta last year. So who says that he's not the king of the quad ovals? Well, we'll see how he does, because right now the top 3 are all single file and they're all Dodges. Alvarez, Martin, and Adema. And then back in 4th is a Chevrolet of Christian Coppola, your outside pole sitter. And then back in 5th is a Ford of Carlos Rex. Adema is now going down low to try to pass the 29. At the exit of the quad oval, they're hitting 198 in that corner. And Adema is going to make a pass for 2nd. Fastest lap so far early, and this one goes to the 14 of Carlos Rex in 5th with a 27.912. And back behind him is the 29 of Ronnie Martin with a 27.925. Here comes the 9-2, possibly to the lead, although it looks like Alvarez will be able to clear him. He had a good run coming off of turn 2, but now that's since regressed, as now he's going to maybe even lose a spot. Here comes Ronnie Martin to the inside with the help of Coppola. Battle for 2nd here. Everybody else basically single file. I mean, you got Riley Wedge and Jacob Thibodeau jockeying for the 6th spot. Then you got Green and Chase Buck for the, what looks like the 8th spot. Dan Wilkins, who started up in the top 5 all the way down to 11th. He's trying to make his way back. There's Doug Doering, who started 12th. Hasn't moved much. He's in 13th. Remember, he won here last year after a battle with, you know who, Santiago Alvarez. You know, as the more I say it, the more I really become convinced that Santiago Alvarez is truly the king of the quad ovals here in the MSCCT. He's running for his own team, maybe not in the best equipment that he used to have, because remember, that equipment changes. He might have the same number, he might have the same manufacturer and sponsors, and it's also the same driver. But you just got to remember, the equipment is not the same, but he's leading here 7 laps in the AT&T 400. Top 5 at the end of lap 7 will be Alvarez, Martin, Adema, Rex, and Armin Salvador, as Christian Coppola, native of Hempstead, New York, he is falling back. Martin trying to go low. And he's going to be there with the help of Adema. Alvarez gets hung out to dry like he's laundry here on a Texas afternoon. Martin takes the lead. Alvarez back to 2nd. Really, a lot of these leaders hugging the inside line. Alvarez might even lose 2nd. Adema's now hogging up the 2nd spot. Watch this. Hey, maybe we'll get a new king of the quad ovals if we end up seeing Ronnie Martin go to victory lane here at Texas, as even Santiago Alvarez has fallen all the way back into the 6th position. Maybe he can rebound, but these green flag pit stops, which will probably come, because you know there's going to be at least some sort of a green flag run here at Texas. I just don't see the single file racing really breaking. Here comes Carlos Rex. He's going to try to take 2nd. But yeah, I think you have to consider multiple things when it comes to Texas. It's that Ronnie Martin, he knows what this kind of layout is like. He won here at Atlanta. Maybe he'll take the crown from Santiago Alvarez for King of the Quad Ovals. Although I've kind of been milking that phrase a bit too much now. Current top 5 on lap 12 of 91. Martin, Rex, Salvador, Thibodeau, and Adema. Although now it'll be Alvarez, as there is a battle for 5th between the two Dodges, who used to be fierce rivals of each other when Alvarez was with DWR. Now their relations have cooled off a bit, but trying to catch the 92 is his rookie teammate, Riley Wedge, who was the original pole sitter, but due to a technicality, was not able to start on the pole and instead starts 7th. Although he's being hung out to dry on that outside line. I mean, right now, I just honestly think that there's going to be way too much sort of technicalities with everything, as the yellow flag is out from Texas. Lap 13, we're going to be going under yellow. So yeah, that's probably going to put an end to the single file racing. You know, I gotta say, Martin, it's kind of all clicking to me now. He won at Atlanta in the 3rd race of this season. Now he might win at Texas. I mean, yeah, it's still early. There's, 70 laps to go? But just still, makes you wonder. As now, leaders are going to come down pit lane here. Looks like everyone's going to be coming in. See what the situation is cooking over there. You get to actually watch kind of the race off pit road from this camera angle. Yeah, every single guy came in. There was not a single man on pit road that stayed out. Wonder if Martin's going to get the edge here. Yes, he will. Ronnie Martin wins the race off pit road, followed by Rex, Salvador, Thibodeau, Alvarez. Basically the carbon copy of what the order was when the yellow flag came out. Also, Brandon Allen is going to the garage. The reason why the yellow came out was because he was leaking oil over the track, and he also is having gearbox problems. Just overall bad day for Brandon Allen. He was already not running near the front of the field, and this does not help his case, so he will finish the race presumptively 42nd. So unless there's another crash, I don't think you can really say much about it. You know, it's really cut and dry here. I would assume, I don't know if we would go green next time by, but let's just take a look at the pace car lights come off. I like how those caution lights perspire. Look at that. You know, they all kind of wrap around the catch fence. And no, the caution lights are still on, so I mean, they kind of act as impromptu caution lights as it goes around the catch fence. It's a really interesting phenomenon. But, you know, a lot of these guys in the top 10, we've talked about it before, a lot of them have wins. I don't really think there's going to be a huge upset today, or a first-time winner for that matter. With one career win, that would be Ronnie Martin in the 29. Then you have Carlos Rex, who also has two career wins under his belt. Martin only has one. Rex has 2. He won at Chicago in Season 2 after a good pit strategy race, and then also he won in the Snow Bowl at Watkins Glen, beating out Daniel Rivera in a pure luck of the draw, and again, pit strategy. So I don't know if this is a trend to continue, but if there is a pit strategy race on the line, expect Carlos Rex to be there in the right place at the right time. Armin Salvador has 2 career wins as well. He's in 3rd. He hasn't won since Season 2, but he got 1 win in the first half and 1 win in the second half. He won at Indianapolis in Season 2, along with the Bristol Night Race, the second of 2. The only one really that is an outlier is Jacob Thibodeau, who has not won a single Cup race. He did win at the Homestead MSCCT race, but has no Cup wins under his belt yet. And then, as we said before, Santiago Alvarez, 2 career wins, just like he had last year. One at Charlotte and Dover with DWR, and then Ryan Adema with 4 career wins, which right now is tied for the most all time. Also, the caution lights are out, which means that we are going green next time by from Texas on lap 18. His first career win was at Martinsville, where he led like 125 of the laps. And then also, to add insult to it, he won at a road course when he's nowhere near a road course master. He won at Canadian Tire thanks to, again, pit strategy. And then his third win was actually the championship race at Homestead. Then he has one win this year at Homestead. Patrick Starr in 7th does have no regular season cup wins, but he did win the All-Star race in Season 2, so even though it's not points paying, a win is still a win. Chase Buck back in 8th has one career win. That was Atlanta in Season 2. And then Doug Doering has 2. Pocono, and, as we had mentioned before, this year at Texas. Then Creed Daniel in 10th. He has 2 career wins. He dominated the field at Darlington. And he also won quite recently at Kansas. Now going into the double file formation, your top 10, as we had just mentioned as we were going through their wins and and accomplishments throughout their careers. Your top 10, Martin, Rex, Salvador, Thibodeau, Alvarez, Adama, Starr, Buck, Doering, and Daniel. Into the quad oval on the restart zone from Texas. They fire up their engines and they go green once again on lap 18 of the AT&T 400. Man, Carlos Rex with a big jump out to the lead. Martin really getting the short end of the stick. As usually the outside line didn't prevail, but he was able to clear himself well enough that he was actually able to completely, cross over and cut down on the inside lane. Not something you see every day. And they're really whipping it around that track. 2:02. Didn't realize, I think that's really close to the fastest lap all day. Also, Carlos Rex, even when they're getting up to speed, that was their second green lap out of this cycle. And yeah, they're sort of evolving in the single file racing again, but at least that's better than, at least single file boring racing. This is single file racing at 200 miles an hour. Which is why some people still praise this year's Daytona 500 after the train racing that had happened for like half the race. It's a super speedway. Most people usually have high opinions of super speedway races, whether in hindsight, if they're even good or bad at all. Also, Chase Buck has moved up from 9th to 4th. He's in front of his old team owner, Ryan Adama. Look at Jacob Thibodeau running that high. I wouldn't say high line. Nobody's even come close to hitting the outside wall today. I say high line, and by that I mean the second groove out of 4. Even Matthew Green is running that line a little bit. It's not really helping anybody. There's Nate Relum and Sarah Fang going for the 13th position. Although Daniel Rivera is going to get Relum out of here and out of town. There's even Nolo Hamilton. He's losing a lot of spots, and so is Coppola. Although now you got basically 2 guys rallying behind the 14. It's Salvador and Martin. They're all trying to make a run. Make a run for the money. Salvador got maybe a bit brake checked off of 2, or he maybe done that to himself. Because now it's a battle for 3rd between Chase and Martin. Now Ronnie's on that top side. Man, he led quite a few laps at the beginning, and now it's all gone to nothing. He's down in 5th now. My goodness. Now Salvador is close to him, but will he be able to make the pass? I don't mention it much, but I just love the irony in Carlos's paint scheme. He's a Ford sponsored by Aston Martin. It's like, I think in the 1996 Speed Weeks there was a Chevrolet sponsored by Ferrari. And then in the Nationwide series, I also believe there were a few paint schemes sponsored by a Mercedes-Benz dealer. Not Mercedes-Benz themselves, a local Mercedes-Benz dealer. Maybe it was hovering around the track or something and they just wanted to sponsor a car. I don't know, Nationwide has always been a bit iffy with their sponsors and everything like that. Like, you see more weird Nationwide schemes than you do weird truck schemes, if I'm being honest. ARCA is a completely different deal. But hey, if you're an underfunded ARCA team, you do what you can do to race. Doesn't matter if the car is really that presentable. Look at Chase getting to the inside of Ronnie there. Looking for third. Hasn't won in a while. He's looking for redemption tonight. Salvador still trying to get redemption here. If Carlos were to win this one, it would definitely be his second win of the season. Just his first on an oval since Chicago Season 2. It will be his third career win. You know, I remember back in Season 2, people prevailed and essentially predicted Carlos's win at at Chicago to be an upset. And I told him, no. This isn't going to be an upset. I really think he's going to win more than once. And, you know, maybe I was kind of scoffed off at that, but there's guys like Darian Arnsdorf who, speaking of, Arnsdorf is currently running all the way back in, where's that car? There it is. No, that's another green car. There he is. He's actually in 15th. He's further ahead than I thought, but he started near the back, so I had every reason to think that he was far back, but yeah, he's only got one win, which was at Walt Disney in Season 2. He's on a long winless streak. But yeah, Carlos, who's his co-owner on the All-Star Speed team, they own the team together. It makes sense why you would think, well, if Carlos won, then why is Darian not winning? Then I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't know. Let's go back through the field here on lap 30 of 94 in the AT&T 400. Carlos Rex in the lead, Armand Salvador in second, Chase Buck in third, Dan Wilkins battling for Ronnie Martin with fourth, although right now it's Doug Doering and Ronnie Martin really going at it, and then also side by side, Santiago Alvarez and Ryan Adema. Here comes Jacob Thibodeau. My goodness, he's in ninth, but he's going to probably move up a few spots after that one. Back in 10th, though, is Patrick Starr, and 11th is Matthew Green, 12th is Riley Wedge. 13th is Sarah Fang, 14th is Daniel Rivera, 15th is Darian Arnsdorf, as we mentioned before, 16th is Creed Daniel, 17th is Christian Coppola, 18th is Luis Aguilar, 19th is Nolo Hamilton, 20th is Brennan Wilmington, 21st is Kyle Driscoll, 22nd is Nelson Reeves, he's side by side with Jesse Owens Jr. for that position, 24th is Chris Lattimore, 25th is World Ultrip, 26th is Hunter Walker, 27th is JJU, 28th is Callan Fleming, 29th is Donna Wilkins, 30th is Leland Hill, 31st is Sam Joseph, 32nd is Charlotte Kelly, 33rd is Adeline Galvin, 34th is Caden Robitaille, 35th is Logan Williams, 36th is Jackson Snyder, 37th is Nate Relham, 38th is Dakota Bennett, 39th is Felipe Ford, 40th is Molly Fleming, and the last car on the track, and a bit off pace, is Alex Pollock in 41st. And of course, in the garage with a gearbox problem and oil issues, and overall a no good, very bad day, it's Brandon Allen in last. I mean, yeah, it's single file, but you got a few aberrations here. Like, there's Doug Doering in 9th, although he's trying to fight for his positions right now. Like, are you going to try to close in on him or what? Like, what's the deal? I mean, last year at Texas, it was a day race, and it did involve a lot of pit strategy. It wasn't like there was a big crash that took out a bunch of people. Yeah, there were a few crashes, but it wasn't like it was anything, out of the ordinary. This is appearing to be the same way, where it's just people, battling for their position, running as they need, and that's all. Like, we're not even halfway through the race. We're going to have at least 15 to 20 more laps before that even starts. average speed of that last lap was 154.161 on Carlos Rex. And of course, the last lap was actually 29.489. Let's see what the figure is on this one. Right now it's showing actually the 29.627. Wow. Talk about something dramatic right there. That is something. That's a dramatic fall. That's almost 2 seconds full of a difference between his fastest lap and his last lap. It's because he's running in the front and he's not running in a pack. That's probably the entire reason why. It's because he's not running in the absolute majority pack that holds like 20, 25 cars. With everybody on the lead pace, on the lead lap. I'm telling you, they slow up in the apex of 1 and 2. And it scares me because I think there's a yellow out, but then I realize, there's not really a yellow out at all. I'm just being foolish. I pity the fool who thinks that the AT&T 400 is an overrated race, because right now, even though there hasn't been many lead changes, that one caution is probably the reason why Ronnie Martin is outside of the top 5 in 6, and Carlos Rex is leading en route to what could be his 3rd career win, and his 2nd on an intermediate. I don't know, I think you should consider Chicago Motor Speedway. Remember, we're not talking about Chicagoland, or, the Chicago Street Course or whatever. We're talking about Chicago Motor Speedway, the now defunct oval in Cicero, Illinois. It's 1.5 miles. Call it what you want. I just call it larger New Hampshire. If you're going to call Iowa larger Richmond, I call Chicago Motor Speedway larger New Hampshire. Because it's got maybe even less banking than New Hampshire. And if you thought that there was almost no banking on New Hampshire, wait till you see Chicago Motor Speedway. These tires were absolutely, basically just dying on these cars. It was insane what was going on there. That was really a tough race for these guys. It was really a difficult race for everybody to manage. Especially tires. And I think that's one of the reasons why Rex won. Because his pit crew is one of the best in the game. They came over, actually, some of them came over from Formula One and other open-wheel racing series, including kart and IndyCar. So, who's to say that, yeah, they're an open-wheel pit crew. Open-wheel pit crews are often really good. Also, Chase Buck is going to pass Armin for the 2nd spot. Made a clean pass there, and now he's pulling away from him. They kind of split themselves up, and I'm sure that's what the 14 wants to see. Because when the people behind you split up, it gives you a clear path straight in front of you. There's not one target trying to attack you. There's 2 targets behind you that are attacking each other so that they end up hurting themselves before they can even touch you. Also, Wilkins moving up to the 4th spot. Nadema back in 5th. How about your points leader? Where's Nelson Reeves in all of this? Well, he is in 22nd, a bit far off the pace, but hey, they're all single file, really, except for this sort of mungle jungle right here. There's Alex Pollock, who's running, let's see, this last lap, 30.770. In fact, Carlos's laps are getting slower and slower. And so are everybody else behind them. Basically for everyone in this top 10, they're all running about a 30.2. That one was, oh my god, a 30.387. They are all running really slower laps than what we're used to. And that's really something, isn't it? Here's Wilkins and Ava, 2 good friends of each other, side by side. Hey, yeah, they might be on different teams, but hey, Wilkins went to Adama's sprint car race in Florida, Southwest Florida at 417 Speedway. It's obvious that they what's it called? They race each other hard when they're on the track, but when they're off the track, they're good friends. Oh my goodness, they hit 151 in that corner. On those first couple of laps, they were hitting 175. It shows that as the pack spreads out, just these cars get ever slower. Look at this. Ronnie Martin is going to pit lane along with Doug Doering. Kyle Driscoll coming on in along with Nelson Reeves. So green flag pit stops. You know who's the expertise in that. That'll be Carlos Rex. I don't know if Chase Buck is going to try to make any moves or anything. I don't think it would really be anything other than a moot point, because if they're going to pit, what's the point in passing them? As all these leaders are going to go to pit lane. Rex, Salvador. Only guy that's staying out right now is Matthew Green. Believe so. Matthew Green and Riley Wedge. Riley Wedge, who was originally supposed to be the pole sitter tonight, he is in the lead. Matthew Green in second. Ronnie Martin winning that race off of pit road. Where in the world is Carlos? Well, take a look at this. Whoa, hold on. Conflict on pit road. Obviously not what you want to see. As there was just some contact in the back there, and the yellow will come out. Somebody, the 87 got turned on pit lane, and that's going to bring out a yellow. Second yellow of the day comes during green flag pit stops, and that is a huge turn of events. Carlos Rex is now coming back out onto the track. This might displace a bunch of people. As look at this, they just split past the pace car. In fact, they're all going around the pace car at like 160 miles an hour. Oh my goodness. This is going to be interesting. Although we should still wait and see how everything's going to play out. Because this is still during the cycle of what was supposed to be green flag pit stops. Oh, and there's conflict on the track. Big crash, the 31, as they're all trying to slow down. Jesse Owens Jr., it's a parking lot in turn 1. Oh my goodness, there's a whole bunch of cars that just got absolutely clobbered, including the 24, who basically did a pirouette on its nose. Somehow he's driving away from that. I mean, you could see his back end is all jacked up, but somehow he's driving away from that. Sam Joseph as well took a hard lick. Jackson Snyder. There's Nelson Reeves. Looks like there was more conflict. What in the world happened here? They don't know how to slow down, because here comes Leland Hill. Drills the 10. JJU got turned. This is possibly the most chaotic scene I've ever seen under yellow in my entire life. As the leaders are just pulling up next to them like nothing's happening. That might possibly have been the most chaotic caution lap that I've ever seen. As now this will really change everything. As that was some of the guys that were up front. Christian Coppola was in it. Sam Joseph wasn't really near the front. Neither was Owens or really any of those other guys, but Reeves was up near the front. He had fallen back to 22nd, but question is, I don't think that this really displaces the lapped cars, if I'm being quite honest. Because it was really, if there was, to put this in a very nice way, the fact of the matter is that there shouldn't really be a caution during green flag pit stops. But when there was, it was at a good time. Because this wouldn't mean that like half the field would be a lap down, especially the leaders. Because probably if this caution happened one lap earlier for Thibodeau, that would probably mean that we would have like half the field, including some of the guys who led laps today, including Martin or Rex for that matter, might have meant that they had been displaced and they had been put a lap down. Or even worse, you never know. Black flags can be really, really inconspicuous, if anything. As including Thibodeau and Hamilton, they are getting back up onto the racetrack in the rear. I want to see who's out from all of this. It looks like there's 3 cars who are a lap down, the 80, the 31, and the 4. Those are the 3 that we saw immediately take a shot to pit lane. But Reeves is out. Okay, now they're all sort of filing out there. So, yeah, Brandon Allen was already out, but he was the only car that had DNF'd up to that point. And now you can add to the list Logan Williams, Leland Hill, Sam Joseph, Jesse Owens Jr., Christian Coppola, Kyle Driscoll, Jackson Snyder, and Nelson Reeves. What's the situation with the 87? There he is, yeah, he would be in 35th. He's probably being scored a lap down. Although he would presumptively move up to 32nd when the green flag flies again, because he would overtake. Yeah, there he is, right there, 33rd. Sorry, for everybody that is out of the race now. Like I said, the 11, the 10, the 80, 31, 24, 4, 54, and 77 were all out as a result. And the 87 is what brought out the yellow, and he didn't even get all that damage because he had gotten turned on pit lane and essentially got his rear poked into the back wall, in the inside retaining wall on pit lane. So we are not going green this time by. My assumption would be that we would go green next time by, although even that's not guaranteed, because what happens if you have a situation of unusual proportions where we need to have another yellow lap, which I've seen before. There's been situations where the leaders don't exactly know how to line up properly when they go into the double file restart formation. So when that happens, an example of that sort of thing, one of the examples was Talladega this year, or even Charlotte last year. Because in those races, we saw a rather, a buffoonish example of leaders not knowing how to line up properly when the green flag was supposed to wave, and this is what you get with double file restarts. It just happens that way. Caution lights are off, and those little rubber bandy things that go around the catch fence, they are off as well, and the caution flag waves in stationary, as we will be going green next time by. This will be lap 53 of 94, just past the halfway point here from Texas. Your top 10, Ronnie Martin, Carlos Rex, Riley Wedge, your presumptive pole sitter. Doug Doring, last year's winner here. He hasn't won since this race at Texas. He had 2 wins in the first half of Season 2, but he had 0 wins in the second half and has had 0 wins this year since he came back and made his return, his triumphant return at Bristol in the night race. That will be the HCA Healthcare 500. But then back there, as now possible problems on the racetrack, possibly. What's going on with the 8 of Callan Fleming? Hold the phone, we might have an issue. The 8 has gone around everyone, as I would presume she's going to pit lane. Okay, she's going into pit lane. So be it then. So an unusual, unscheduled pit stop, but like we said, it's Martin, Rex, Wedge, Doring, Rivera, Green, Aguilar, Chase Buck, Armin Salvador, and Darian Arnsdorf at the green flag on lap 53. Who gets the advantage in 1? I think it's going to be either Martin or Rex. I don't think anybody from the second row is really going to shoot through here, and it's going to be Carlos Rex, it looks like, unless Ronnie Martin gets a good run on the backstretch here. Guess what? I think he got a good run on the backstretch. Take a look at this. Going into 3. Maybe he didn't get the run that he needed. They're 3 wide for position here between, that would be Starr, Chase, and Green. Although Green kind of got the short end of the stick there. Now they've devolved into single file racing in some sectors and double file racing in others. As Doug Doring, as we had mentioned a bajillion times before, he was last year's winner at this track. He's been really good on intermediates, and he's showing it off again. He is in second as he has overtaken Ronnie Martin in the 29. Back to the stripe. There's Riley Wedge peeking up high. We'll see what he does here. I'm telling you, that pack racing in that sort of style of racing, they really run well, and they run a lot faster. Like that last lap, 28.067. That's just a few tenths slower than his fastest lap all day, which is it's no longer the fastest lap on the board. How about that 16? of Santiago Alvarez back in 14th, but he's still putting the pedal to the metal with a 27.856. Carlos's original lap of 27.912, that is now back in third. Even Ronnie Martin, who is in third, now has the second fastest lap of the entire field with a 27.868. And if you want to know the disparity of the field right here, the fastest lap, 27.856. The slowest lap of anyone, Brandon Allen, 28.674. That's less than a second. Literally, like in NASCAR, the difference between the slowest, fastest lap and the fastest lap, I know that's a tongue twister to say, but the difference is literally less than a second here, where in NASCAR it will probably be 5 or 6 seconds, especially with the back markers in play. Carlos Rex still in the lead. Ronnie Martin slingshotting his way back to second, and Riley Wedge trying to help him out. Yeah, as the pack splits up, that's where you really see the lap times actually start to slow down, because you would be surprised at how important the draft would be at a track like this. I definitely underestimated it. I wasn't expecting the laps to be like that. There's JJU and Molly Fleming, and even Jacob Thibodeau. Also, Callan Fleming, no damage on her car, but she had an unscheduled pit stop, apparently to serve a black flag, is what we are hearing from the race control tower. So, she's actually running. I don't know if you saw that, but the 14 and all these leaders are closing in. So, possibly we might be in for some lap traffic debacles here as we go on later on. Current top 10, Rex, Martin, Wedge, Doring, Buck, Adama, Salvador, Aguilar, Wilkins, and Serafing. Almost all of those guys have at least one win. Yeah, in fact, everyone except Riley Wedge, who, of course, is a rookie, has one win. You got 2, 1, 0, 2, 1, 4, 2, 2, 3, and 1. There's your win counter. Yeah, they're all in single file racing again, but I don't know if this means that Callan Fleming's going to be able to pull away here. Oh, no, they are. She was at 186 going into turn 3. See where Rex was at. He was all the way at 193. So, needless to say, they are faster, and they are closing in like a snake on the 8 of Callan Fleming, who is a race winner this year. She won at Talladega in what some people might consider an upset. Some people might consider it not to be. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's still a winner. She is still a winner in the Modern Stock Car Cup Tour, whether you want to call it legitimate or whether you want to call it a pure luck of the draw. Some people might have a legitimate argument for calling it that, because in reality, only 10 cars finished the race. Even Dan Wilkins, who was in the top 3 when the white flag came out, finished 11th after a gearbox problem ended up sidelining him on the last lap. Riley Wedge now going in the second as he overtakes Ronnie Martin, who's going to fall back to 5th, assuming that the 19 is going to clear him. I don't know if the 19 is going to clear him. Right now he's ahead by maybe about a tire length. But yeah, even Ryan Adama might clear him. Having a tough time speaking today. So, speaking of tongue twisters, we were talking about, what were we talking about? We were talking about, like, something with a name. Oh, you know what I'm getting at. Look at that paint scheme from Matthew Green. I know it's not Memorial Day weekend yet, but considering it's like red, white, and blue with the patriotic stars all over this racetrack, I like the fact that Green's got that sort of patriotic car sponsored by Colt, which is a cartoon or an anime that goes hand in hand with Gup, G-U-P. As they're going to pass Jacob Thibodeau to lap car. Doug Doring might get a bit of a bad luck of the draw. But yeah, GUP, also known as Girls und Panzer. Again, a show about women who served in the military in World War II. You've heard me talk about it before. I haven't watched any episodes of it. I plan to, but it's a I've heard it's a very interesting show about women serving in the military in World War II. But remember, women were oppressed in the military back in that time. Sometimes, even women are still not put in the roles that they are deserved in the military, depending on the branch and depending on the general in charge of everything. But, like, even in the Vietnam War and the Korean War, there were advertisements basically promoting that men partake in the... Well, it's not like they had a choice to partake in the draft, but, it was basically promoting a message to women that, oh yeah, keep doing what you're doing as a housewife. Don't try to serve in the military, or don't try to interfere with the men, because sexism was a very prevalent thing in the mid-20th century. And the fact of the matter is that there still aren't as many female generals, or even generals of color, people of color, that are represented in the military. We're just not there yet. But yeah, the oppression and the sexism, even the racism in the military, it was really a big thing throughout the 20th century, especially in World War II. Like around the time of the administrations and the elections for Dwight Eisenhower, former president of the U.S., they were, saying, we like Ike. Well, I don't blame people for liking him, because he was one of the more centrist candidates. And of course, I haven't done my due research on Dwight Eisenhower. So, take what I say with a grain of salt. But he's somebody that both sides of the aisle can like. He's that both sides of the aisle can hate, depending on what views you agree or disagree with Eisenhower on. Of course, Eisenhower has been long dead, but you get what I'm saying. This goes with any president or any administration. Both sides have the right to like somebody, and both sides have the right to hate somebody, depending on the circumstances of the situation. Carlos Rex approaching Carlos Fleming here on lap 71 of 94 in the AT&T 400 from Texas. He's going to go down low. Does Callan Fleming really do a funny move here and hold him up? Oh boy, here we go. And of course the Fleming sisters are back-to-back, 32nd and 31st, respectively. 0.58 seconds is the gap between Carlos Rex and Chase Buck, although I can imagine that gap might be more once this lap is over. Why aren't you shooting down to the inside? Make a pass already. Make up your mind. Uh-oh, it's double trouble here. It's both of the Fleming sisters. Oh my goodness. Take a look at this. Even Carlos might be drafting Callan to make a pass. The lead was almost cut in half. As now Molly goes a lap down. Now he's right on the back bumper. Oh my goodness, this is hilarious. Here comes the 19. Here he comes out of the inside. Does he eventually make the pass or no? Is that not allowed here? Oh, here we go. They are side by side. Yo, that was close at the line. 1/100th of a second going into turn one. Now Carlos falling back. Doug Doring into second, although that might not hold if Carlos gets a good run on that lane. Finally, we might see a pass here. And finally, we will see a pass. Carlos Rex now getting held up. Oh boy. This is something, isn't it? Yeah, now Chase Buck sort of going out into the middle there, and he's kind of... I don't know, he's just kind of being weird like that. Although you have a lap car in front of you, so... I don't know what to think of it. Like, will Carlos ever pass the 8? Or does he have a restraining order? He can't get this close to her? I don't know. Here comes Doug on the inside. You know who? It's Doug. Is that a theme song? I know there was a cartoon from the 90s in Nickelodeon called Doug. I believe it was about a guy with a long football-shaped head. Although, no, I'm mixing that up with Hey Arnold. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a huge fan of cartoons, like watching them in length or in bulk. Like I can watch a bunch of SpongeBob episodes. I definitely can sit down and watch Family Guy when they were on Netflix. But thank you, Netflix, for taking Family Guy off and also threatening to take off Forensic Files, which was the only other show that I watched on Netflix. I understand that. Here comes Carlos Rex to pit lane. This will be interesting to see what happens. And Callan Fleming just went to the garage. She is retired from this race. They probably black flagged her for holding up those leaders, to what I can imagine. But like I was saying, I understand that Netflix is a multi-billion-dollar business. But you really can't keep Family Guy on there. You can keep other Fox or Adult Swim shows or whatever. You can keep them on there, but you can't keep something as simple as Family Guy. Or even I don't like the Cleveland Show, but the Family Guy. It's a great show. It's a classic from the 2000s and the 2010s. It's one of the greatest cartoons of the modern era and one of the greatest humorous sort of comedies of the last 20 years. And you're going to take it off of Netflix? Where the heck am I supposed to watch reruns of Family Guy without going to like some sort of pirating streaming service? It's ridiculous. Here comes Armin Salvador. He is being scored on my board as the leader, but guess what? He is on pit lane, wouldn't you know? There's Wedge, Adama, Green, 4 other guys that were left. You know, last time we did see a caution was during green flag pit stops. Do we see it again? There's less than 15 to go, or there is 15 to go this time. There's Chase Buck coming back up onto the track, obviously with a big disadvantage considering he pitted later than he wanted to. Yeah, right now it's showing 12 guys on the lead lap. That'll definitely change for certain. It's just very confusing overall. I'm just going through the field here trying to see what in the world's going on. They're still scoring. Are they scoring Armin Salvador as the leader? Where is he? Well, wouldn't you know? He is right there. Although now it's... Yeah, wow, it is, it's now Aguilar. Where is he? He's up here. Oh, okay. He just stuck out in front of the rest of the field. How about that? Yellow flag is out on the racetrack. Just as he's passing Thibodeau, yellow is out. This will set up for a close finish here. We would probably go back green with about 9 or 10 to go, depending on how many caution laps there are. I mean, this is just after the green flag cycle ended. But yeah, Luis Aguilar, who won twice last year at Sonoma and at Flemington, my hometown track. Well, my former hometown track. They closed down in 2002. But we brought it back to life for the MSCCT race. The Capitol Health 300, and bada bing, bada boom, he won that race. He won it emphatically. And nobody's really coming down pit lane because they just got tires and gas and track bar adjustments or whatever. They already got what they need. Why would they need to go down pit lane now? Although we will check if anybody's coming down pit lane. Because that would also be an opportunity for people to come on pit lane if they didn't pit during the green flag cycle, which I had presumed wasn't the case because it had appeared to me that everybody had already pitted during the green flag cycle. That's what I had basically seen. Also, Ronnie Martin, 29. He led most of the beginning laps, and this is concerning. Because obviously we're not going green this time by. It would be way too early for that. I was assuming he's going to pit lane. Is the 16 going with him? No, he's going back in the line. This is... Oh, boy. I really hope he doesn't, like, DNF in the race or whatever. I don't know what problems he might have in his car. But, you know, really it will be a heartbreak for him to not have that in. See what he's got going on, though. Also, 11 laps to go right now, so we would probably go green with less than 10. Assuming we don't... Yeah, we wouldn't be going green until at least 9 to go, because we have the caution lights on now. Caution lights would come off at the earliest lap 85, and then we would go back green on lap 86. Don't tell me the 29's out. He's out. Wow, what was his problem? Gearbox. Wow. Talk about a turn of events. He led most of the early laps of this race, at least the first 15, and then Carlos Rex took over. He was battling with the leaders, and then that issue under caution with less than 15 to go, in fact, precisely with 12 laps to go, just took him out of the race and puts him in with the rest of the guys that are out of here. 28 cars remain on the lead lap, though, although once Martin falls down, it'll be 27 cars on the lead lap, and it would be 31 cars on the track. Because right now, the 5 of JJU, the 7 of Molly Fleming, and the 87 of Jacob Thibodeau are at least some laps down. I mean, Thibodeau's 3 laps down. You know, I can see where he's coming from there, and I mean, you and Fleming are 1 lap down each. We'll see if the caution lights come off here. They do. So we will be going green on lap 86 of 94, as now the 87 is going to drop back. Although all these lap cars are going to drop back here. Yeah, gearbox for Ronnie Martin. My goodness. Heartbreak for the 29 team. Not many owner drivers have this sort of opportunity to win as soon as they get going in their first set of races, in their first season in competition. 22, what are you doing? 22, come on. Oh, this is embarrassing. Folks, what are they doing? Please explain to me what they're doing. They just have to go to the rear of the field because of the fact that they're lap cars. And the 94 and the 88 are like polite Canadians. They're like, nope, you're not going to pass the 8. Go down to Texas and we can go to the Cowboy, eh? What's your deal, eh? If you are a Canadian and that impression was not accurate, please just tune me out, because I know what I'm doing. Top 5. Or, excuse me, not top 5. I'm shorthanding it there. Top 10. Aguilar, Rex, Doring, Buck, Feng, Daniel, Wedge, Wilkins, Salvador, and Donna Wilkins. Into the Geico restart zone with 9 laps to go. We have a green flag from Texas. We are backing away from the south. Carlos Rex probably going to get the advantage in turn number 1. See what he's got here. That progressive banking is going to help him on the bottom line. Yeah, he's got a big run. Big run here. Big run. The 55 and the 19 divvying up the competition behind him. Dan Wilkins going all the way up from the bottom half of the top 10. Now up to 4th. He's going to try to make some more moves here with less than 10 to go. He tried peeking down low past the 19, but didn't get it. He's now solidly in 3rd. Man, they're whipping it around here on the back. Here comes... Oh, Alex Pollock's on pit lane. This might be trouble. In fact, that brings out the yellow. Alex Pollock, no. Alex Pollock, from what we're hearing, was leaking oil on the racetrack. What a turn of events. We're back from square one. That's something, isn't it? That is really something. What's going on with the 16 here? Is he... No, he's getting back in the line. He was just, I don't know, in a weird spot. Because he was down on the inside and had to get back up. This might be a green-white checkered situation, but I honestly don't know. Because there's like, what, 6, 7 laps to go? I don't think there's 7, but probably 6. Because 94 minus 88 is 6, plus 1. That'll be 7 to go. We'll be coming up on 6 this time by. So yeah, caution flag is out from Texas once again. My goodness. What a turn of events for these guys, you know? Like, and even Alex Pollock's going to get to stay in the race, but, man, that's unfortunate for that 88 team. They've only been in 2 races. They got a top 15 in their first race at Riverside, and I can understand it was a crash fest at a road course. But, oh my goodness. So Carlhouse Rex, who won at the Snow Derby in Watkins Glen in the coldest race in MSCCT history. It was 17 degrees, if you can believe it. 17! And now he stands here. Well, he's not standing. He better not be standing in that Ford Mustang. That hurt him. The jokes are getting to me. But regardless... Regardless, though, Carlos Rex would get his 3rd career win if he can pull it off today. And it would be his 2nd of the season. Rivera got his 2nd win after winning at Iowa. He won at Riverside, flag to flag. Now the tables are turned. We had 9 races without a unique winner. Daniel Rivera broke that streak, and now Carlos Rex might keep the streak of 2-time winners going. Although Chase Buck would get his first win of the season if he were to win this one, although that wouldn't be the first win of his career, as we had mentioned before. Once again, on the quad ovals, he won at Atlanta in Season 2. So maybe he's just built for these tracks. But hey, maybe Doring is, and maybe Alvarez is. I was going to say Ronnie Martin, but guess what? He is currently sitting and 31st out of this race. Also, Alex Pollock. We were just talking about him leaking oil over the racetrack. Well, guess what? He is out. Oil pump problems. Yeah, that would explain it. While you're leaking oil over the racetrack, you got an oil pump problem. And speaking of problems, is that the 30? Is that the 30? No, it's the 85. It's his teammate. The only other Pontiac in the field. Doring's in 4th. Riley Wedge, who has had such an up and down rookie season. He was supposed to be the pole sitter, but it started 7th due to technicalities. And now, after being up front and mid-pack all day, he has the pull-down pit road of shame, as that is such a heartbreak. He was 18th, looking for one of the best runs of his season, and it all comes to a close for that 85 Pontiac of Riley Wedge. Maybe not the worst day for ERE, but definitely, oh man, was that gearbox? Gearboxes are killing everybody today. Martin, Allen had that problem. That's the 3rd guy to go out today with a gearbox. Allen, Martin, and Wedge. A Chevy, a Dodge, and a Pontiac. We need a Ford and a Toyota to go out with a gearbox issue too. Guess what? The 2 leaders are a Ford and a Toyota. We will go green with 3 laps to go. This is not a green-white checkered. It'll be lap 92 of 94. as now they'll at least try to go into the double file formation. Your top 10: Rex, Buck, Wilkins, Doring, even, is that Charlotte Kelly? Yes, it is. It's Charlotte Kelly. Charlotte Kelly's in 5th. Donna Wilkins, Felipe Ford, Patrick Starr. Is Felipe Ford on the lead lap? Yes, he is. How about that? Let's roll the dice in Texas. This might not be Vegas, but let's take the darn gamble. We might see some upsets today. We have a green flag again with 3 to go. Chase Buck was slower on the outer lane. Although Rex wasn't really able to hold his line either. As now he's going to do a big crossover move. He went from all the way up high to down low. Here he comes. It's Chase Buck in the 19. They're side by side off of 4. Headed back to the stripe. Carlos Rex out of the lead. 2 to go. They're racing as hard as they can. Wilkins was down low. Now look at this. Look at Charlotte Kelly in the 01 for Black Swan in 4th. Does Dan Wilkins make a similar move of big proportions? He does not. This will be the first win for WDM, Chase's new team. 1.5 miles from Texas Motor Speedway. White flag. Here comes Wilkins. This will be his 4th win if he's able to pull it off. I don't know, though. He's got a big gap, maybe about a half a car length between the 00 and the 19. He's got to get a big run here. He's got to go down low. We haven't seen a last lap pass since 2 races ago in Kansas. Here comes the 00. He hasn't won since Daytona of last year. They're side by side, coming off the corner. It'll be Dan Wilkins who wins at Texas. 4th career win for the 00 and his first in a Ford. He won in Season 1 at the Quad Oval Charlotte in the 77 Dodge, and then he swept the Daytona races in that same white, black, and red color paint scheme. I don't have the words to say. 1/10 of a second separates Wilkins from Chase Buck. Your top 10: Wilkins, Chase, Rex, Kelly, Adama, Wilkins, Doring, Daniel, Feng, and Hunter Walker from Texas Speedway. What a finish! What a finish! We will see all of you next time from Darlington Raceway in the throwback event, the Southern 500. Was there a wreck of some sort? There was a yellow that came out before we go. I think there was a wreck of some sorts. Was there something back here? No, the race had been done. I just want to see if there was a wreck or something. Oh, they were up there. They were all pitting. Why was there marks on the back here? Yeah, oh, they had been there. Okay, I don't know what brought out the yellow then. Let's take a look at the pace car. I want to see what happened with the pace car. Like, did somebody wreck right at the end? That's weird. I'm just trying to look. Trying to see what happened. Like, where does the yellow come out? Does it... Zoom in. Oh, right there. Something must have happened. Okay. Something. Uh-oh. This explains it probably. Yeah, it's probably just people getting caught up there. They were going too slow and it brought out a yellow. But it doesn't count since the race is over. So Dan Wilkins gets his 4th career win, and it's from Texas. Now we're headed down to the East Coast for Darlington Raceway for the Southern 500 next time on April 17th. From Texas Motor Speedway, we will see you all next time.